right, so Sultai mid-range versus, and actually, we're going to say red-black aggro. I guess let's start on Charles' side, what he's done with red. There is his aggro deck. There are no copies of Goblin Chain Whirler, but he is, however, playing 4 Karn Sign of Urzas on his own. Now, Ryan, this is 8 Karns in our first standard match. All right.
This card is powerful.
It's good. Inventor's Apprentice turn 2, first play here for Porges.
Where you see Karn be particularly powerful is in decks that can generate a couple artifacts on the first turn, so you can make Karn and start cranking out 3/3s, 4/4s with the -2. So I do like it a little bit more in the aggressive shells.
Here is Aethersphere Harvester, turn 3 from Charles. He's going to go ahead and get an energy here, some energy off it, and that'll pump Inventor's Apprentice to a 2/3.
Famously referred to as Nerd Ape. 1 mana, 2/3. Card you don't see too much in the standard anymore. The threshold for artifacts is just not super high. Karn is certainly something that's going to pull you more towards playing this kind of card, though. Making sure that you have a 2/3 here. The fact that you have to play a certain threshold of artifacts makes your Karns better. I do like the return of Inventor's Apprentice.
Yeah, Todd down to 18 on that hit. This red deck's almost feels more like a Mardu Vehicles deck the way it's playing out here. And you look at its curve, it seems that way as well. We have 4 Bromet Couriers, 4 Inventor's Apprentice, and then it's Scrounger, Ballista, Pia, 4 Unlicensed Disintegration. This is a more mid-range.
Yeah, Unlicensed Disintegration, definitely really powerful, especially if you're expecting to run into things like the Scarab God, huge tempo play that gets into chip shot as well.
Cast Down as a removal spell will take care of the Aethersphere Harvester. It was crewed up by Inventor's Apprentice. And then another pass. So what's happening here, Ryan, I think, is then since Charles's deck is 20 creatures, 16 spells, he's actually sitting on a grip of removal, but Todd's not helping him out. He's not playing any threats up until this Karn. This is our first look. Karn, Scion of Urza.
It looks like Charles is just kind of on a fistful of Abrades, and that is not going to be doing anything for him anytime soon here. Plus for Karn, for Stevens, reveals Contraband Kingpin and Vraska's Contempt. Charles is going to put the Kingpin into Todd's hand. Kingpin actually pretty good in this matchup. 1/4 with lifelink.
Yeah, Contraband Kingpin in the main deck here. Is that right for Todd?
Let's see him scry a
little
bit.
Yeah, 4 copies.
It works pretty well with Karn. You can set up so you can do some scrying when artifacts enter the battlefield under your control. He's playing 4 treasure maps.
Oh, this is a wild deck. All right, Inventor's Apprentice swings in, though no artifacts in play this time. It's just for 1, and Rekindling Phoenix is another threat for Charles.
And now you're going to see the power of Karn. We have Vraska's Contempt still under that. Todd can -1, grab that, deal with the Phoenix easily.
Yeah. You know, so this is our first look at Karn, and this card looks great. It's already drawn Todd 2 cards and is still in play.
Yes. I had this in my 2-headed giant pre-release deck.
It was great.
Yes. We didn't lose games. Me and Karn, I mean.
Exiles away the Phoenix. I like this Karn card. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is disgusting.
And we haven't even seen it start to make servos.
Oh, it's down to 3.
I guess it's just it's a construct is what it makes.
Yeah. Game 1 goes to Todd's teammate Daryl Ayers with Amulet Titan, gets the win. Karn plussing again, going to draw a 3rd card. Porges says he can have the land, puts another spell under it.
In Todd's deck, he is playing 2 copies of Vraska Relic Seeker. He has 4 Walking Ballista. He's happy to pick up additional lands. A couple Scarab Gods in the mix as well.
Walking Ballista as a 2/2 for Todd leaves up 2 mana. And that looks because he looks like Search for Azcanta. And 6 lands in play. He's going to be able to flip that one very quickly. And go back over to Porges. His hand's not helping him. We see multiple Abrades. I think
it's at least 2.
It might be 3.
And that's a tough spot there. You kind of want to abrade the Ballista, but you also just don't at all.
Yeah, his hand is now an Inventor's Apprentice, 3 Abrades, and an Unlicensed Disintegration. His hand just isn't going to beat Karn. And you see he has to force action. He uses Abrade on Ballista so that Todd then in response shoots down the Apprentice. So Charles he has to 2-for-1 himself, then makes an Inventor's Apprentice and says, go. And yeah, Todd's going to draw Fatal Push here off Search for Escanta. He's just going to pull away.
I mean, look at the life totals here. We have a red-black aggressive deck, very low to the ground. We have 1-mana 1/2s that are sometimes 2/3s. Playing against a deck that's chock full of 5-mana, 6-mana spells, 4-mana planeswalkers and removal spells. And life totals are still 20 each.
Karn's going to draw Todd the Vraska's Contempt. And now he passes with Fatal Push, Vraska's Contempt up, and Contraband Kingpin as a blocker. And the Karn is still in play.
Yeah. When we get to turn 8, and we're both at 20, and you're casting 1-mana spells, and I'm casting 4+ mana spells, you are losing. There's kind of no two ways about that. Charles is going to give it all he's got. Gets to cycle a Canyon Slew. Not the most exciting turn of events for him. And he has one of his actually more impactful cards, a PNLR in hand, but how much does that matter? Steven's already set up. The Contraband Kingpin checks the 2/2. Not really too much concern about the 1/1 Thopter.
Yeah, Karn can just race that, just keep plussing it. Not to mention Todd, at some point here, will transform Search for Escanta.
Yeah, one of the strengths of PNLR is that it's kind of a 2-for-1, but Todd's been activating Karn for multiple turns. He's just going up +1 card every turn of the game.
Karn has drawn 4 cards.
That's it, though. And
so far.
Still has 3 loyalty. That's really the biggest selling point about Karn, is it starts with so much loyalty.
Karn is very loyal. And you see here Todd just untaps. He had that 5 mana worth of instants and just hasn't found anything worth casting yet. Things going very well for Todd and company right now. Jody Keith takes game 1 over Brian Eason. 2 more cards from Karn, Fatal Push or Walking Ballista. I don't think he cares whichever one he gets. They both look great here.
And one of the reasons you might not see Todd shoving, there's 2 main deck copies of Golden Demise. That would be the ideal way to clean this board up.
Sure.
It's already really hard to imagine Todd losing, and from there, very easy to win.
And one's in his hand.
All right, forget about it.
Yeah, Golden Demise. I'm not even
see
sure.
it count for the City's Blessing.
So, yeah, he cast Golden Demise. I'm going to say, Ryan, I don't know that I actually want to show my opponent that this is in my deck. He gains the City's Blessing. I mean, it's fine. He's winning by so very much here.
One thing about it is it's going to take Todd a good amount of time to win. It's not like he doesn't cast the Golden Demise and then goes to work with the Contraband Kingpin, right? Todd has to do something. You could just pluck through these, use Fatal Push, Vraska's Contempt, and go the long way. But I like this approach. This is fine.
This game will go for as long as Charles wants it to go for.
I'm going to correct you there. We've watched Todd Stevens enough times.
Todd likes this.
This is going to go as long as Todd wants it to go.
Okay.
Charles can concede whatever he wants, but Todd's not going to make this a quick one.
No, that's... So you could start making constructs with Karn, but he's not gonna.
Yeah, if the construct is drawing Walking Ballista, sure.
No, +2. Vraska or land. Charles gives him the land, not the Vraska.
For now.
Todd's hand, meanwhile, is Fatal Push, Vraska's Contempt.
Charles
and
has heart.
He's got like the next... Oh, 2 Vraska's Contempts. Another Karn.
Oh, that's it, though.
So Ryan, one game in, I'm impressed. There's like this level where when I look at a new card and I have to figure out how good it is, it gets this threshold where I'm impressed.
Yep.
At this point, I'm on the border between impressed and concerned.
Right? I remember the first time I read Karn, and I knew Karn was going to be in the set. They were going to make a Karn, and previously we've been working with Karn Liberated and Modern for a long time. And I had this kind of feeling of almost dread, where I was like, oh, no. They're going to make a colorless Planeswalker. I know what happened when they printed Emrakul the Promise End. Please don't make a mistake like that. And it's not on that level, right? Karn does not end the game on the spot, but the power level is certainly very high.
I mean, there's 4 of them in Charles's deck.
Yeah.
And he's playing aggro.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, just any deck that wants to play Karn can. And that is the concerning part. 4 mana is not a big ask.
Vraska's going to bring along a pirate. Todd's choosing to close out that way, and it'll eat in a braid.
Yep. Not really sure what Charles's plan is from here. I think part of it is that Charles knows that his deck, if it's going to win games, they're not going to take very long. And we're not even 10 minutes into the round. So he has plenty of time to try to figure out games 2 and 3, and maybe he sees a couple more cards. Certainly with Todd activating the Karn every turn, he's going to see more and more of the type of cards that Todd is playing. Though at this point, it's pretty clear it's removal spells, planeswalkers, and that's about it.
Yeah, maybe there's a specific thing. He did, for example, get to find out the Todd main decked Golden Demise. If you're playing this is going to be a little disheartening on Charles' side. If you're playing red and your opponent has main deck Golden Demise and main deck Contraband Kingpin, you know you have your work cut out for you.
Yeah, you can't abrade 1/4s. This is going to be an uphill battle.
All right, well, Charles has gained as much information as he needs to, picks up the cards, and that's going to be game 1. It's a sweep for the team of Keith, Ayers, and Stevens as all players get ready for sideboards here. We're going to be back and look at the sideboards of these two archetypes in just a minute. So back here with sideboards between these red-black aggro deck from Charles Porges and Todd Stevens' Sultai mid-range deck. So let's look at Charles' side. Game 1, he really only got Todd down to 18 before Karn just stabilized immediately. He's a mid-range deck, which is going to be hard because so is Todd, but very much more that way. He has 3 Sweltering Suns, 2 Argwell's Bloodfast, 2 Phyrexian Scriptures, 2 Magma Spray, 2 Duress, an Angrath, a Fatal Push, a Scavenger Grounds, a Chandra Torch of Defiance, and a Siege Gang Commander.
Yeah, so the positioning you want to go for here, you definitely want to be on the battlefield faster than your opponent because Todd is playing more impactful cards, but you have a couple things to try to keep up. Arguel's Bloodfast is going to be really good. Anytime you're running out of cards, drawing the extra ones is going to be really powerful in a matchup like this. The 2 Duress can kind of put Todd off balance. Once you see his hand, you know how to navigate. Maybe you see if he does or does not have a Golden Demise. Take it if it's particularly good. Take a 4-mana Planeswalker so Todd can't get set up. Those are going to be powerful. And some of these 5-mana cards, Angrath, Flame Chain, Siege Gang Commander, those are totally reasonable to have here just so you can keep playing. Very likely that Todd stops you from winning on turns 4 or 5, so having some hammers is very powerful. And Chandra Torch of Defiance is for sure coming in for a similar reason.
Yeah, so he's. It sounds like he's going to have to try to be even more of a mid-range deck than he was before.
Yeah, you just need to have some higher impact cards.
Yeah. How does Chandra size up against Karn?
It's not pretty. And in fact, Chandra tends to line up pretty poorly against most other Planeswalkers. I believe with the targeted the damage to a source rule, I think Chandra just deals damage to each opponent, so you can't use Chandra even to hit Planeswalkers anymore.
Okay.
So Chandra,
yeah, that's new for Dominaria.
Yeah, Chandra lines up just pretty poorly against Planeswalkers.
Now on Todd's side, 3 Naturalize, 3 Negate, 2 Duress, 2 Carnage Tyrant. He has the last 2 gold copies of Golden Demise.
Yikes.
2 Deathgorge Scavenger, and then 1 Argwell's Bloodfast of his own.
So Golden Demise, Deathgorge Scavenger, these are kind of the standard fare. These are cards you want against red decks. You've seen Inventor's Apprentice, which leads me to believe Todd's going to want some number of Naturalize. There's going to be a good number of vehicles in the mix. He's already seen Aethersphere Harvester. There's probably Heart of Kirin hanging out. The rest of the stuff I could take or leave.
Now, do you think Charles is going to board in a way? Is Golden Demise still going to be excellent against his deck, or maybe just a 1-for-1 after sideboard?
Way more likely to just be a 1-for-1. One of the ways the deck plays around that is Inventor's Apprentice plus an artifact, so it can be a 2-3. But if Todd has enough stuff like Naturalize and what have you to keep artifacts off the battlefield, it'll be easier to leverage the Golden Demise. At the end of the day, Charles does need to get ahead on the battlefield to actually win the game. Golden Demise is not as powerful as something like a Damnation effect, but still pretty good in a matchup like this.
Now over on the Legacy table, see here we have Jody Keith and Brian Eason. But we're going to go over to the standard game in just a second here. And there we are.
Looks like Todd on a mulligan here.
Yeah. Yep.
You do want to make sure you have a hand that doesn't get run over. Also, with a deck like Todd's such a high mana curve, it's hard to keep a hand with fewer than 3 lands.
Ryan, when we look at Charles' decision to play red-black aggro instead of mono-red, this to me feels like the decision between Goblin Chain Whirler and Karn.
Sure. Kind of the big draws to black are going to be Unlicensed Disintegration and Scrap Heap Scrounger. And those cards are fine. I'm personally more into Chain Whirler. I like picking a role and really signing myself. I'm the beatdown. I'm the Chain Whirler deck. I'm the Bomac Courier deck.
Okay.
It's possible with rotation that that deck has lost enough points, and Charles has put in work and decided he wants to be more on the mid-range side.
And Charles there on turn 2, he correctly reads that there's a Fatal Push on Todd's side, so he makes Heart of Kiron. Todd not able to use that mana from turn 1. He makes Search for Escanta. Could take a hit. And what we're looking at now is it looks like this time Porges will be the one with a turn 4 Karn. See if Todd's deck can beat it.
Yeah, and that Karn teaming up with Heart of Kiron, that is powerful.
Here is Duress from Charles. 2 Fatal Pushes, Karn of his own, Walking Ballista, and a land around Catacombs. If Karn is as good as it looked, I just assume you snap off Karn.
Yeah, and especially when you have your own Karn, those 2 Fatal Push are not doing a whole lot. So, especially with redundant Fatal Push, it just kind of makes sense to go for the other card and commit yourself to playing into some removal spells. Certainly with the post-sideboard configuration, when Charles is heavier on Planeswalkers, likely to produce Arguel's Bloodfast at some point in the game, doesn't have to sweat the removal spells as much.
And he will take away the Planeswalker. Bunch of removal, but yeah, if Charles just lands his own Karn, that'll run away with it.
And it looks like he has plenty of lands.
Yeah, plays his tap land here, the Canyon Slough, so that he can have turn 4 if near dead lands Karn. Todd will pass. Picked up a Scarab God.
Yep, put a swamp in the bin with his Search for Escanta.
And here we go, turn 4. Now it's Charles' turn to have one. Here's Karn, Scion of Urza. And he'll plus another Karn or a mountain?
Probably given the mountain.
Yeah. Reminds me of when, like, your Jace the Mind Sculptor brainstorms into more Jaces. Go back over to Todd. Puts a card in the graveyard with Search, plays 4th land. Does he have maybe a Vraska's Contempt? Some way to deal with it. It's at 6 loyalty. This is stupid.
Yeah, on an empty battlefield, you really need to have the clean answer. And that's one of the really driving reasons to be red-black over just mono-red is that Charles had access to Duress already this game. If Todd showed him Karn plus Vraska's Contempt, it might have been totally reasonable for Charles just to take the Vraska's Contempt.
I don't get why this card's colorless. This card is invalidating the whole game. No, I mean, really, this feels like Legacy, where one player just makes Jace the Mind Sculptor, and then the guy says, no, I don't have any plays. Like, well, all right. Well, let me show you how this works. Arguel's Bloodfest picked up by Charles.
The more mid-range the format gets, the more Karns you are going to see.
This is stupid.
There is still a lot of stuff in the format that's going to play well against Karn. For example, God Pharaoh's Gift, still a very powerful deck.
Okay. That's true.
But yeah, there's no shortage of decks that are going to want to play Karn. I don't think that it's going to be rare to see Karn on both sides this weekend.
A Braid from Charles. Looks like he wants to get rid of that blocker. And, you know, when you have a Karn on an empty board, yeah, keep it clean. Here's a Braid. Karn will be shot down to 4. Charles is plus it. He'll get another card. Either Dragon Skull Summit or Walking Ballista. Todd's going to continue to give Charles lands.
Yep, that much makes sense. And now with Todd tapped out, you might see Karn drive the heart.
Well, this sequencing on Charles' side was very nice. Starting with a Braid and then playing this means when the 2 damage from Walking Ballista went upstairs at the Karn, whereas now it can crew Heart of Kiron with Pia and the Thopter. The Thopter's not going to die to the Ballista.
Yep, get to maintain that loyalty on Karn as well.
4 damage in, Todd down to 16. Mills Contraband Kingpin off the Search for Escanta finds another Scarab God. His hand is 2 Fatal Push, 2 Scarab God, no 5th land. He just says go.
Yeah, we are definitely seeing what you have described, though, in this match. The player who got ahead, landed a Karn, has been staying ahead.
It's by a mile, too.
Yeah, it's really hard to fall behind when you're drawing extra cards every turn with a high-loyalty Planeswalker.
Yeah, now I think what you said, as the format gets more mid-range, this will happen. What I'm interested, so in a mid-range mirror, this Karn looks insane.
Yes.
We haven't seen any board state where either player had to use the -2. They're just drawing a card with it every turn. And they're not even caring what the card is because they're both playing mid-range. I want to see how the card performs in other matchups. Say one of these plays against a true aggro deck. That'll be more interesting to me.
I also would like to see Karn in a more aggressively slanted style of deck. We've seen some lists popping up where you're trying to play a few more efficient threats. Charles' deck is on the leaner side. You're playing your scrap heap, scroungers, vehicles, what have you. But I want a deck that's just curving 1, 2, 3, 4, Karn, make a 4/4, attack you.
So rather than crewing, Charles just attacked. So Todd, Fatal pushed away the Thopter and then took 2 off Pia.
Yep. Charles has no compelling reason to play into those fatal pushes that he knows about.
Charles going to grab that Walking Ballista from under Karn and looks like cast it for 3.
Pretty good turn.
Might he'll actually make Arguel's Bloodfast first.
Yeah,
Then-
more
then I
extra
assume,
cards
yeah.
are not going to be bad.
And then Ballista. And then he'll Scavenger Ground away Todd's graveyard. Not gonna cast the Ballista just yet. Does not want Searcher as Kanta transforming. Fair enough. So Todd will start new. Here's
Shows his sacrifices if near Deadlands to the Scavenger Ground so he can keep the effect around.
Here's Scarab God from Todd. All right. Pressure's on for Charles. Though it's looking good this game. In Modern 2-0, Daryl Ayers defeats Kendall Burdette. Amulet Titan victorious there. And what's not an automatic matchup? Counter's Company's a very fast combo deck.
Yeah, there's pressure on the Amulet Titan deck to be very fast or to present a very fast engineered explosives in that matchup. Though EE on 2, really powerful against Counter's Company.
You know, I wish that were the case. The problem is you have to craft like you have to just 1-for-1 with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true.
Oh yeah, no, like, I always play that, and I wish because against a lot of company decks, oh yeah, I'm gonna get. They play all 2-drops. I'm gonna blow up 2 or 3 of them. You're like, no, hold on.
They'll play around it. It's not lights out like it is in some matchups, say
Yeah.
hexproof.
Here's our first construct token off of Karn.
A mighty 1/1.
Yeah, these ones scale in size. Each one is power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts you control.
Actually, like the heart's still hanging out there under the clock, so it is a 2/2, I suppose.
Okay. They're gonna crew the Heart of Huron. And it'll swing in, put Todd down to 10.
This would be a spot where Charles would really like to have it on unlicensed disintegration. Forcing Todd to reset with that Scarab God without getting any value. Jeez, and it looks like he does have it in hand. Todd already down to 10.
Yeah.
Won't take too long to close this game from here.
Walking Ballista on 1 for Charles. And then, yeah, usually he'll unlicensed on his own end step here. So here's unlicensed. Todd will go to 7. Team down 4 games. They need the next 4 to win. Charles, though, might take care of business here. And then we'll see where he goes from there. Golden Demise picked up from Todd. Great card in the matchup, but Karn doesn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to sweep the board if he casts it.
Yeah, it takes care of some stuff. It leaves behind Karn and Heart of Kirin and also Arguel's Bloodfast. So
Yeah.
it does work. It just doesn't do enough.
So here's Golden Demise. With how this game's playing out, it feels to me, Ryan, that we're playing again, like from Todd's side, he's playing a mid-range mirror, right? When you said, oh yeah, it leaves behind Karn and Bloodfast. That sounds mid-range to me. I'm not sure how many Golden Demise I actually want on the deck post board. I liked the 2 in the main, but Todd has boarded up to 4. I might board back down to 2.
Yeah, 4 is certainly a lot. It makes a little bit more sense to have them when you're on the draw, just because Charles is more likely to be aggressively configured. But especially now that you see these Arguel's Bloodfast, you know that Charles is on Karns, which you probably could have sussed out from the first game. But knowing that your Golden Demise is not going to clean up some very impactful permanents is a good reason to leave it on the bench.
Sussed out. I mean, your opponent is playing standard, just like you.
He's
probably on Karn.
They're playing Magic the Gathering. Their lands produce mana.
Oh, he's playing colorless. I see. All right. He probably is playing Karn. Dragon Skull Summit or Aether Sphere Harvester. Todd continues to give him lands, but that's what I like about Karn and these mid-range shells. So every time Charles has +1 to the Karn, it's been land, spell. And Todd has given him the land every time. When you're playing mid-range, you don't care whether you're getting the land or the spell.
Yes, I would like to draw a land every turn, and I get a draw step on top of that?
Yes.
Sign me up.
You know, I guess if you're going to think about slotting this into your mono-red aggro deck, if they give you the land every time, I mean, you can't play Ramanap Ruins anymore, so it's kind of...
That is less good.
It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Pia Nalar here. Going to make a token. It could Crew Heart of Curon. That'll get that other Fatal Push out of Todd's hand. And that's what looks like will happen. Actually, does he still have a Fatal Push left? Or is the cart going to connect? It's lethal right now. If he, you can crew it, make it a 4. If Chandra can pump twice, he can go for a kill. Crew, Fatal Push.
Yeah, I think we only saw him cast 1 previously.
I think there actually were 2, but he had 3. Anyway, here's another Heart of Quran. Charles can try for it again next turn. He just has so many cards.
Yeah, plenty of leftovers. Not really an issue.
And that Bloodfast, which he hasn't used yet. But when he gets around to it, yeah, Todd will pick up cards. So their team is on the board. Porges takes game number 2. He's kept the team above water. You see over there on the left side, Kendall Burdette is watching the match of Brian Eason. Brian with Grixis needs to get game 2. We'll see if game 3 happens here in Standard. We're going to take a short break and return to the match. Stay with us. About it. He did game 1. He basically played control against this aggro deck. He played a bunch of Contraband Kingpins, Golden Demise. His opponent won with a Karn. Simple game. Yep. But then game 2, his opponent starts bloodfasting and Karning him. I would think that now Todd has to go back to the sideboard and think, wait, what am I doing here?
Yep. Then you have seen unlicensed disintegration.
And a braid.
Sure. Just like the.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so you know that your Scarab God is not safe. And then you've also seen Planeswalkers Arguo's Bloodfast. And this is maybe looking like a matchup where you actually just want to Carnage Tyrant.
Yeah, so there's so many different ways. He's seen Bloodfast out of Porges. Does he want his own?
No. I mean, Porges is a red deck still.
Okay. Carnage Tyrant can be pretty good because you've seen Unlicensed Disintegration. But at the same time, if this game is about those Karns on 4, once Charles had the uncontested Karn, I've been watching Standard where Scarab God has been threatening, and when Todd made Scarab God, I could care less.
Well, that's actually part of the reason that I want this Carnage Tyrant.
Okay.
That attacks for a lot. You can clean up a Karn fairly handily with that, certainly on the play.
What about something like Negate, Duress, something to, if you're worried about Karn on the other side, can you afford to bring these in? They're not very live.
I generally don't actually like Negate in Todd's strategy. Because
he's tapping out?
Exactly. He has a lot of very expensive spells in a matchup like this where he's going to be playing a lot of removal. It's going to be hard to leverage a Negate, though Duress is going to be a little bit easier to employ here, so I wouldn't hate to see the Duresses.
All right, it looks like we will get a Game 3 in Standard because there's going to be a Game 3 in Legacy. Brian Eason takes the first post-board game with Grixis Delver. So, yeah, Negate versus Duress. I agree in a mid-range deck, I usually like Duress more than Negate because it's cheaper. It's 1 mana. I can spend it when I want to spend it.
And the Negates are just going to be a lot better in a matchup where your opponent's more combo-esque, where they're casting, say, Approach of the Second Sons. They're more tap out as well. The more creatures there are, the less I'm interested in having Negate in my deck.
Keep on Charles' side, keep on Todd's side, and here we go. Game number 3 starts out Fetid Pools for Todd. For Charles, and this is just going to throw Todd for a loop. Here's Bomat Courier. Which deck is he?
Yeah. You're always going to want to Fatal Push that one. I wouldn't expect Todd to just be off of Fatal Push.
No, but it's just Charles' deck is just a different deck each game.
Yep.
And Todd will make search for Azcanta. Here's another swing from Bomat Courier.
And this time, we'll see how the aggressive draw shapes up on turn 2. In game 1, Charles had some creatures, but it was slow to start.
And into Scrap Heap Scrounger.
And these are the kind of draws that are just tough.
Ooh, look at that top deck for Todd. Golden Demise on turn 3, and what a time for it. Wow.
Yes. That's why you want that card.
Wow. With that search for Azcanta, that's...
Keep that 1. I will not put that in my graveyard.
We're going to see a turn 4 Karn again.
I hope so. I think he has a Walking Ballista.
That's less good.
Yeah.
Not
bad.
remember, as you mentioned, our first match of Standard here with Dominaria. There are 8 Karns on these deck red sheets. Both players a full play set.
Yep.
And
Ooh.
Gonti from Todd. And actually, he picked up Naturalize for the turn 2. I like what he's doing here.
The Lord of Luxury. What luxuries do we have? An Angrath Flame Chained versus Siege Gang Commander. We're in the holdings there.
Ooh, well, I would be fine casting either of those.
Todd went with the Planeswalker.
So, Ryan, you might have noticed when you look at the sideboard, there wasn't a Gonti in Todd's sideboard.
Oh, this isn't the main.
Yeah.
You don't just...
I was just going to say, I was surprised here because I was like, I didn't see that in his board. And then I looked at the deck list, I was like, oh.
You don't snub the Lord of Luxury by putting it in your sideboard.
In every matchup, my opponent is playing good cards. I will cast them.
I assume that they're playing cards that they want to cast.
Gonti's just card number 5.
And you do kind of wish you saw a Karn there, because Charles has a Karn of his own.
All right, well, I haven't seen Karn lose a match yet. Maybe it will this time. Plus, another Karn or an Argwell's Bloodfast.
Ugh.
Neither of these are gray tier.
No. Ugh.
He'll give Charles the Bloodfast. Yeah, sure.
I suppose that one takes mana to get going.
This
and
is
the plan likely involves attacking down the first Karn.
Yeah, this is not the kind of board where he cares. Todd's going to pick up Vraska's Contempt and just keep it.
Yeah.
He didn't. I think he there's a second he might want him to bin because he has a great 5-drop under Gonti and he doesn't have land 5. But then again, there's a Karn on board.
Yep.
Got his Vraska's Contempt. Kind of want to do that.
Makes sense. And also, it's the case where it's Karn, second Karn. So if you deal with the Karn on the battlefield, the odds that Charles has a third are pretty low.
Yeah, and also, so he'll just go ahead and exile away Karn. The verdict is still out on how beatable Karn is here for me, Ryan, because what I was wondering is whether you could beat it without a clean answer.
Sure.
We won't learn that yet.
I think that in just a straight mid-range fight, if both players are just passing back and forth and there's a Karn going off, then I don't think it's particularly beatable. I think a beat-down deck is where you want to be.
I wanted to see if Todd could say attack it for 2. Maybe his turn would say attack it for 2, make Angrath. I'm like, would have that been enough? And that I didn't know on that one.
Sure. I suppose it depends how many turns it takes to actually execute.
Yeah. Obviously, if they make Karn and you Vraska's Contempted, that's good. I mean, he's still -1 card.
Yep.
And you notice some discipline here on Todd's side. He actually did not attack with Gonti. See right now showing teammate Daryl his hidden card from Gonti.
Currently, Charles, no creatures in the graveyard. He had to exile the Bomat Courier, so trading with the Scrap Heap Scrounger, pretty reasonable from here. Life total's not really what Todd's deck is concerned about. If there were a Planeswalker to attack, that'd be a different factor anyway.
Unlicensed Disintegration on Gonti from Charles. 3 damage and 3 more. Todd will drop to 11. All right, here's some threat. And Argwell's Bloodfast. At this point, I feel like, the Bloodfast that Todd had to give him is still matters. Now, I guess the reason Todd gave him that is because he has Naturalize in hand.
He has the Naturalize. He also had dealt with... His plan was to deal with the first Karn. He figured that was something on his agenda, so giving the second Karn would be pretty awkward.
So in hand, Walking Ballista, Fatal Push, Naturalize doesn't look too impressive from Todd, but now we see the Angrath that Gonti took. And that's going to be an interesting one. He's trying to engineer a board where he can cast this.
Yeah, if he had a 6th mana, you might see him go for Walking Ballista, but I like managing the battlefield a little more.
He's going to Naturalize the Bloodfast, does not want Charles untapping with any mana. Says go, he has Fatal Push up. He's hoping to clean the board and untap an Angrath, and with Charles drawing a land, it might work.
Yep. We're still at a point where that Fatal Push in hand can just deal with the Scrounger. And then if you see no follow-up from Charles, that's when you start going to work with Planeswalkers.
A swing from Scrounger. So put Todd to 8. He's going to...
Field of Ruin.
Okay, Field of Ruin.
Grab a swamp.
Yeah, all right.
The lands do enter untapped from field, so be able to Fatal Push from there.
Yeah, and that's what he'll do. Doing that in combat, so Charles can't make a 3-3 ballista. Just a 2-2.
Yep, like the timing on that quite a lot.
Agreed. But ballista's actually going to be a great follow-up because Todd's trying to clear the board for Angrath, and he's hoping that Charles will play something, make a 3-3 now, that you could threaten with Angrath's second ability. This is one of the most difficult. This is not the threat Todd wanted to see.
Yeah.
Angrath's no good here.
Though he is transforming his search.
Yeah, draws another land, so his hand is his own ballista.
Yeah, it is interesting. We'll see if Todd just ballistas for 3 back, which is a pretty reasonable line here.
Yeah, well, it's kind of gross to play the second ballista because you just... So he makes a ballista on 3. He can shoot.
Well, you can just hang out and block.
Well, no, because then he just activates, and then you shoot back.
Well,
okay.
yeah, you set up the block, and then if they activate, then you fire away. It gets a little bit awkward if Charles has, like, a braid.
All right, so we're going to pause it here, see if the players actually do finish it, but the match is over. Turbo Depths turboed out the win. The 2 ballistas here are going to trade.
Yeah, so that's going to clean it up. Jody Keith, Daryl Ayers, Todd Stevens, they're going to claim the match here. Looks like players interested in playing more of New Dominaria Standard, though.
All right, we're going to, yeah, so the match has gone for Keith, Ayers, and Stevens, but players, they want to finish it, and we're going to stick with it. A cycle of a land here from Charles. Draws into another Karn. Yep. So now we're going to get to see Karn versus an active Azcanta and an Angrath.
Yeah, likely to see Angrath come down this turn.
Well, Todd can either Angrath or Azcanta.
Yeah. He chooses
He's
I
Azcanta.
suppose if you Azcanta into Karn, that would be really powerful.
Well, how about into Vraska's Contempt? Now the Karn won't get him.
That's nice.
I actually like the choice from Todd. Like you, I was skeptical, and then the more I thought about it, I said, hey, maybe this is fine.
Yeah, there's a number of hits that pay off very well there. Contempt's certainly a good one. Karn would have been excellent. Looking at 4 cards does give you a pretty high odds to hit something meaningful.
Charles brings back Scrounger. Forgot that guy's always going to matter here. We'll see we're backing up here. We'll see how patient Todd is on this Contempt. For the record, they can back up here because this match is unofficial. So if Charles says, hey, I wanted to bring this back in end step, is that cool? Todd can actually say yes here. That's fine.
This is not a part of the match anymore.
Yeah, and Todd hits it with the Contempt, which means, or Todd does, that Karn has free reign. I don't know, Marian.
Well, I like this play, too. The previous Karn still had a silver
that works
counter.
that way?
Yeah, so it's
gosh.
The cards you exile with Karn, when you plus it, you put a silver counter on the card, and my
Karn remembers the last Karn's cards?
It doesn't remember. It checks for a silver counter.
Yeah, but the same idea.
It's notable to talk about why it's different, though.
Okay.
it puts a silver counter, and whatever. If you have a card exiled with a silver counter for whatever reason, Karn can pick it up.
This card's so stupid.
Yeah, the card's just very good.
That was not.
Yeah, Karn for backup Karn.
Oh, yeah, just in case. We needed to figure out a way to make it even better. Hold on.
Well, why would you make it worse?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Todd just says go.
And then once you have 2 Karns, you can more aggressively make constructs if you want. Or you may as well just plus because you're light on cards in hand.
And what I'm actually getting here, I want to talk a bit about this Gonti on Todd's side. Gonti into Angrath. We've gotten to a real mid-range state in the game, and Todd has never been able to find a window for it. I'm not sure how much I liked. This feels off. It feels like this card should have mattered.
The specific texture of the game is worth noting.
Yeah.
Charles deployed many Planeswalkers, and Walking Ballista tends to have been the creature he's been deploying.
Yeah. Here's Heart of Kiran. He passes. Todd will Azcanta. Looks like Charles is going to get this one as Azcanta misses.
I actually think it's worth discussing what Todd took the Angrath over. He
Siege
grabbed
Gang.
it over Siege Gang Commander. Now, it's going to be really difficult for Todd to activate Siege Gang Commander, but I think that 4 bodies would have been pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I guess that's the reason you would try to take the Angrath, is that Siege Gang when you're not a red deck is, okay, it's like 5/5 for 5.
Yep. And Todd likely to be off or at least light on things like Treasure Map from his main deck and Vraska to make treasure tokens.
As Kanto's going to work here, see it finds Fatal Push. He's still trying to set up a board, And I think he's gotten there. Once he has 9 mana, eventually he can Azcanta and Angrath in the same turn. He wants to get that Walking Ballista gone soon. Remember, that card can close very easily. Reads Angrath again. There's no way this one's going to matter. You can't do it on the onboard Walking Ballista. You just lose Angrath.
Yeah, you at least clean up the Ballista, though.
Yeah, you can use it as a 5-mana removal spell for Walking Ballista, and you'll take 2. Angrath -3 to take the Walking Ballista. So Angrath has 1 loyalty, which means Charles typically here shoots it once and then shoots Todd twice.
Yep. That is what I would expect.
Yeah, shoots it once, shoots Todd twice, Todd to 9. And remember, both players know what that last card in Charles's hand is.
It's a good one.
It's another Karn. Because apparently this card does even more than I thought.
4-mana colorless Planeswalker is a fine Magic card.
Why does it let you get the ones from the last Karn? That's so not necessary. Oh, I'll just take that Bomat Courier.
Yeah, that card seems fine here.
Yeah. Cast Bomat Courier.
Oh, yeah, and Karn can drive.
Oh, yeah, Cruise Heart of Kiran. Heart of Kiran and Bomat Courier will swing. Card under Courier. Todd down to 4.
Pretty good. Pretty good, that Karn.
Might as well cast this Scrap Heap Scrounger. And that's it for cards. Yeah. I don't know, Ryan. Karn is...
I don't even think a Golden Demise would do it from here.
No? Well, there's still the 4 cards. Well, let's see. He got one. Check the board.
We'll find out.
Hold on.
Oh, you still have Lethal Heart.
Oh, you also can bring back Scrap Heap Scrounger?
He does have Fatal Push still, so he can...
No. He just brings back the Scrounger.
Well, he can go to 1.
Oh, you're right. He can go to 1. Figured it out. Land, pass. Still got to beat this Karn. I'll figure it out. Brings back Scrounger. Okay.
I will make an attempt on your life. Gonna see lethal attack plus Scrounger here.
Oh, draws Chandra. I think that'll do it.
That one's fine.
That should, if how to deal 1 last point of damage, I think that'll work. Dragon Skull Summit and land. Yeah.
Well,
He gave him the summit.
Wow.
What?
Loose.
Wow.
Loose, Todd Stevens. You're gonna need to tighten up if you want to have already won this match with your team.
Karn Cruz, Heart of Kiran. Swing is going to put Todd to 1 from the Scrounger, and Chandra seals it up. Porges will take the match unofficially.
Right.
But and actually, for those of you wondering, it doesn't matter match score. In a team tournament, as far as tie breaks are concerned, whether your team won 2 of 3 matches or all 3 matches, that actually doesn't enter. It's 1-0 is the official score is 1-0 in